Celebration time. It don't matter what part of the jewel you come from. You da you and me da me. But guess what? All are we the one. See what I mean? Jump and shout all over the nation. We're breaking out with a new creation.
Pastor John Gotz and his wife Lisa are well known in the Toledo District. For more than a decade, the couple have been running the Machaca Outreach Center located in Emery Grove Village in the Toledo District. The couple shared their journey to Belize and how the work they have been doing impacts the lives of families. We will have their story after we hear from our partners.
The National Gas Company, fueling Belize forward. The National Gas Company makes sure that you not only have a guaranteed supply of gas for every household need, but also that it is of the highest quality at all times. Shell Belize has been fueling Belize for many, many years, and they have done that reliably and with a lot of dependability. Dibari stores in Belize City, Belmopan, San Ignacio, Orange Walk, and San Pedro, offering you much more for much less. Dibari. Shell V-Power, with 3 times more cleaning and friction-reducing molecules. Go well. Go Shell.
We are Dibari, offering you great products, good service, and of course, the lowest prices in the entire country. Visit us in Belize City, Belmopan, San Ignacio Cayo, Orange Walk, and now in San Pedro, La Isla Bonita. Dibari. Get more? Pay less.
I remember the days when trucks used to line up at the Guatemala border, and we could have only watch as they come in loaded with LPG and then left with Belizean dollars. Things changed since, because the Belizeans they drive now, that we have the jobs, and are definitely proud to be able to keep my dollars home. Either Elvis Roaches and either one of the Belizean drivers for the National Gas Company. I haul butane from the new state-of-the-art terminal to the port of Big Creek. The hard work, but at the end of the day, I go home to my family and provide for them. Thanks to NGC, I do my lead part to build my country. We the all Belizeans on this team, and we're proud to work hard to deliver one product will last longer and give you more value for money. I proud to work at NGC, and for you we Belizean people.
The National Gas Company Belize Limited, fueling Belize forward.
We are at Machaca, if I'm not mistaken, and I'm with Pastor Gotz. G-O-T-Z. That's a German name, right, Pastor?
Yep,
German Austrian.
Austrian. We're not sure.
You're not sure?
We're not sure. Our family isn't sure. We know it's somewhere on the Austrian border with Germany.
Okay.
As far as we know. Ancestry.com hasn't done us very good.
Okay.
She can't tell us right where we're from, but it's all good.
Pastor, thanks for receiving me here at your home, and along with our good friend Paul Mahong and your wife Lisa. So let's ask Paul. Lisa, again, thank you. You gave me something to eat just now. What was that?
We had poppers.
Poppers? What's a popper?
We had jalapeno with cream cheese and cheddar cheese baked in a smoker until it's just toasty warm.
Uh-huh.
It's good, not true?
Yeah. Delicious, delicious. But let us allow Paul to do the intros, because, whenever we're in the Toledo District or in this part of the country, we are guests of none other than the Honorable Paul Mahong. All right? So, Paul, tell us exactly where we are. I said Machaca just now, but you know the area better than I do. So describe the area where we are at and what goes on here.
It's such a lovely day at Machaca Outreach Center in the Toledo District. We actually came up 9.5 miles out Punta Gorda on the PG San Antonio Road, and just in the area of the where we have the Toledo Christian Academy, in the area we turned off into a feeder road for about a mile and came upon this location. Repeating, it's the Machaca Outreach Center. And it's not only a friendly center, but it's a green center. The environment is extremely friendly. It's green. You can feel that you're in the midst of some tropical rainforests in the Toledo District. And we are blessed with the presence of Pastor John Gotz. But it's more than just Pastor John Gotz. I'll say Pastor Second Lieutenant John Gotz, because he is actually one of the chaplain in the Belize Defense Force. And his lovely wife, Lisa. I will not say much more, Chief, but Pastor John Gotz and his wife, Lisa, before we go into anything else, I think he has a warm welcome for us. So I'll just hand it over quickly to him. Pastor?
Okay. Thanks, Paul. Thank you, guys. It's good. It is good. And can I say hello, Belize? Of course. Hello, Belize. We truly are the lighthouse. Belize is truly the lighthouse to Central America and the Caribbean. We are the lighthouse, and we believe that God has given this great nation to set the pace and the example for all the nations around us, all the nations, even America. I believe it. I believe that that's who we are as Belizean people, not true?
Definitely. I like how you talk your Lee Creole, Pastor.
Well, I have to try, true?
Yes, man. You do good with your Lee Creole, Pastor. You do very good with your Lee Creole.
So I wanted to give you guys a gift. So being as a chaplain in the BDF, I have a coin that was made and a gift to me. And so, as you can see, it is let me hand that over to you, Paul. So on the front is the slogan. It's our motto at BDF, shoulder to shoulder. On the back of it is the chaplain's creed for me. And it is Kavod Us Yahweh, which is the name of our ministry. Even though we're back at Machaca Outreach Center, most people know us as the summer camps. But Kavod International. And it says the word kavod is a Hebrew word for the glory of God. My wife actually can explain this better. But ancient soldiers used to say, kavod us, Yahweh, or cover us with your glory and your honor. And there's two verses that we have for soldiers on there. Psalm 91, which is a soldier's prayer, and Exodus 15:3, which says, the Lord is a warrior, Yahweh is his name. And then at the tip of that, there's a sword, and it says, crush evil. And I think that's what we want to do. By helping families become families, we want to crush evil that is trying to destroy our nation by destroying family.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Pastor Second Lieutenant John Gotz and Lisa, for your presentation and the warm welcome to Machaca Outreach Center. Will not say any more, Chief. It's not that I cannot. I will not say much because Pastor John, Second Lieutenant Gotz, and his wife will tell us all. Back to you, Chief.
Thank you so much, Paul, and thank you for bringing us safely here to Machaca Outreach. And it's so good to be here with Pastor and Lisa Gotz, right?
That's it.
Okay. Now, Lisa, Paul said something that you would tell us more about the grounds and about where we are at this point in time. So let's just do that.
Sure. So yeah, we are 9.5 miles right outside of PG. We have 252 beautiful acres here. We have about 60, 70 acres carved out. It's kind of like a camp-style facility where we've been ministering to youth over the years. Machaca has been here for about 35 years. We've been here 18. And our heart really is that it's a family leadership training center. Our heart is to minister to youth, to minister to women, fathers, mothers, and just to see the family healed and whole. So we've created a space for them to come and enjoy adventure, find out who they are, and just be encouraged and learn more about family.
Lovely. But let me find out, John. Now, Pastor, before I find out from you how you came to Belize and what brought you to Belize and what got you interested in this beautiful jewel of ours, let me ask you, where are you originally from? Because, like we were saying, the name Gotz, it's German, right?
Right. I would say that...
You can hold the microphone, Pastor. I know as a pastor, and I know Lisa does some preaching as well, I know you all are used to holding microphones.
I'm not going to hold it. You hold it.
But you can if you wish.
No, you hold it. I'm originally from Southern California. So grew up in Southern California. Yes, I do have the name Gotz, but my grandfather was Osage Indian, half Osage Indian. So we have... the Osage Indian was from the Missouri, the Ozark area. It's just a really cool, unique tribe that was in the Americas. But yeah, our name is Austrian, but a unique story. Like I said, being from California is where we're from, but my family, I don't know much about other than my grandfather. I come from a broken home. I don't know my father. Didn't have a great relationship with my stepfather. And so we didn't know a lot about our family until after Lisa and I got married and began to research where historically we come from. But I was born and raised in a small town in Southern California called Yucaipa. Yucaipa. It is a small, podunky little town. Yucaipa thinks it's L.A. You ever met someone that thinks they're something they're not?
Okay, yeah, but I have never heard of Yucaipa. In all honesty, it's the first time I'm hearing about Yucaipa.
It's such a small little town. So I'm blessed. We're blessed. That's where we're from.
No. Are you from Yucaipa as well, Lisa, or you from somewhere else?
No, I was raised in Salt Lake City, Utah. And we met at university. He was playing football, American football. And so we met there. And then married life was California. And then we headed to Albania and then here.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you say Albania, you're talking about Albania way over yonder?
Tirana, Albania, right near Greece, across from Italy. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I was on a cruise in that area, so it's a beautiful area.
Very beautiful. Albania is a beautiful place, and I guess we should say how we got here, right?
That's where I was leading to. I was hoping you would just tell me that automatically. How did you get here?
We weren't planning on coming here.
Lisa brought you?
Lisa wasn't planning on coming either.
Okay.
We were in Albania. We were looking to go back into Eastern Europe and do work there, ministry work and missionary work. And we felt a call to work with youth that were coming from fatherless homes.
Okay, but before you continue, how did you become a missionary? What drew you to becoming a person of religion? Well, I wouldn't say religion, a Christian. Mm-hmm. What made you a Christian?
I think we were talking about it earlier. My mother and my grandfather.
From mother and grandfather?
My mother and my grandfather prayed for train up a child when they're young and they won't depart from it. And even though I went through a period of time in my life where I was really rebellious and did what I wanted to do, they instilled in me not a religion or denomination. They instilled in me the reality and the realness of Jesus Christ, that I could look to him for guidance in anything. And so when life wasn't going as well for me, when I was making very poor decisions, and I just said, man, I am going to look back. I'll have to find Fahimi dead for we, true? And I said, I am not doing a good job. I need help. I need wisdom. And so I began to pray. And that's when I met Lisa. God brought Lisa into my life. Funny story with that is, people say, no way, but I did not know Lisa. She bumped me when I was playing a video game.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I turned around and I saw the most beautiful woman that God has ever created. And she made my guy die. I lost money on that. Because I was playing for quarters.
Immediately you got nervous.
Immediately I looked at her, but I said to my roommate, I'm going to marry her. Mm-hmm. Right there on the spot. And here we are 32 years later, we're married. But
was it the same for Lisa, though? Was it the same for you when you saw this guy? What went through your mind?
It actually wasn't the same. It wasn't the same. We later hooked back up and got to know each other. And you know what? John made me laugh. He knew exactly what I needed, and he really cherished me and honored me. And he just made me smile. He made me laugh because I came from a hard background. I didn't know the Lord growing up. I didn't have the Christian home that he grew up in, and so he actually shared the Lord with me, and so that's how I came to know the Lord. And so he just absolutely blessed me. But no, it wasn't at first. He had the first, and then once I got to know him, I'm like, you know what? I want to live the rest of my life with him.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I have to tell you, I was not. This is, that story where we like to say, hey, everything was good. I was just a good Christian kid. I wasn't. I would share Jesus with Lisa while I was drinking beer.
Okay.
I mean, that was where I was coming from. And I think that resonates with a lot of people, is that we're not perfect. None of us are perfect, but we get taught how to be perfect. And if you're taught how to be, if you're not, I shouldn't say perfect, we're taught how to act a certain way to fit into certain groups like on Sunday and Wednesday. But the reality is we're teaching people to be fake. And I just said, I'm not going to be fake. I'm tired of that. I did that for a number of years, trying to fit in the world to figure out my life. So the journey of giving my life back to the Lord was a real raw journey, and I still am that way today. I don't play the religious game. I love Jesus. I love that people have church and they do their thing, but I won't play the religious game with people. Like I just won't. It's not my job to control you. It's my job to be friends with you. And if you ask advice, it's for me to help you. If I see that you have a need, it's my job to help you. If you need help, I'll help you. But it's not my job, nor is it any pastor's job or priest's job to control another human being. And so I kind of grew up with that thinking, I willfully am following Jesus. I want to offer that to other people. They can choose, but that's even if they choose not to, I'm still going to be friends with them.
Yeah. The choice is always theirs.
Yeah.
Now, you made a choice too to come to Belize.
Yes.
Right? Now, how did you learn about Belize? Where did you first hear about Belize?
We were on our way back to Albania. The organization we were with at the time had acquired this property. So there was a mission organization that had the property, the government of Belize, and they had worked together because they were training and done technical schools. And they said, hey, you already have support. And would you go to Belize and help with the transition because there's some people here? And we said, we knew nothing about Belize. I said, where is Belize? I said, man, I haven't even heard of Belize. So we said, yes, we'll go for 6 months. That's what we said. We will go to Belize for 6 months. And 6 months is 18 years. With the day that we got here, we came and we're in our backyard right now. And with our house, we woke up the next morning, and that was back before the road. Remember the patch wasn't completed and it took forever. And the people that picked us up wanted to give us the tour of Belize, right?
I think it took us almost 12 hours to get here from the city because they were stopping here and here and here. Yeah.
We saw everything.
Yeah. But Lisa, when he said Belize and that he was coming to Belize, what were your thoughts about that?
Well, there's a little bit of a story before that. So we were actually going back to Albania. We were flying back there to do a discipleship training center. We were in the airport getting ready to board the flight. And I went to get the kids something to eat. John was sitting there with his guitar, and he felt like he heard the Lord say, is this you or is this me? So he stopped and he put his guitar away. I come back with the kids and he says, he didn't say anything. He just says, hey, what do you think? And I said, yeah, something's not right. So it started this conversation of, oh my gosh, I think we've stepped out before the Lord. So we're calling family, friends, pastors. Do we go? Do we not go? We're getting this advice, that advice. It finally comes down to, they're like, you either need to, are you going to get on this plane? Because she says, we'll need to pull your bags if you're not. And she looks right at John. This was right after 9/11, right? And she says, are you afraid this plane is going to crash? And he looks at her and says, if I get on it, it just might, right? But it really came down to, John looked at me and he said, I feel like if we get on this plane, I have to tell you this part though. John actually looked at it when I said something's not right. He looked at our kids, which were at that point 5, 11, and 13. And he started with the oldest and he says, what do you think? The 13-year-old just starts bawling. She didn't want to go back to Albania. 11-year-old says, Ma, wherever you're at, Ma and Pop, wherever you're at, that's where I want to be. 5-year-old underneath the chair with his toy playing, doesn't even look up, and he says, I think we're supposed to be in the jungle, Dad.
Oh, yeah? But at that time, you had not heard Belize.
We had not heard Belize. Okay. And so it came to the point where we had to make that final decision. She says, are you getting on or you're not? And he looks at me and he says, I feel like if we get on the plane, I'm being disobedient to God. And I said, well, then we can't go. And he turns to her and he says, we're not going. And I will tell you the hour of that deciding, right? If you could scream, vomit, and cry all at the same time, that's what it felt like. But the moment he said to her, we're not going, it was perfect peace. It was perfect peace. So it was from that moment, actually, that they called us and said, hey, would you consider Belize? And I will tell you, we said, we are not going anywhere unless the Lord says yes. So that's all we needed was his yes. We didn't need to know where we were going, what the place looked like, who the people were. We just needed his yes. And literally when we landed here that next morning, we woke up and we said, this is it. This is where he's called us.
Was it the same thing for you, Pastor?
Absolutely.
You said that.
Absolutely. For me, it was the
This
next.
is it?
The next morning, we actually were talking. I said, "This is where God's called us. This is the place. This facility. He called us here for a reason. Now it's our job to figure it out. You know, God works like that. He says, partner with me, but the joy of working with the Lord is you get to ask him, like, what do you want us to do? And we knew at the time, though we have a church now, for years we didn't have a church because the last thing we needed was another church. But what we did do is we saw a need with young men and youth to create a safe environment where they could be them, where we could walk them through their issues. We could walk them through why they pa, are they ma no today, why life was rough, why they could see some have and some have not. And a place where they could, even from the city, could come down, and a place where it was just safe, where they could experience what a family looked like and be brought into family so it's healthy. You know, so it was that way for me the moment, and then immediately fell in love with the country. Yeah, I fell in love with the
most the people. What was it that made you fall in love immediately?
The people. God and the people. Absolutely. The jungle is not my favorite place.
Lisa's favorite place.
She can have it be her. There's snakes in the jungle. Me and snakes, man, I don't get along with snakes. I don't like snakes. I could think of, like, I'm a mountain guy. The Pine Ridge, I love the Pine Ridge. But down here in the jungle, but it's the people. The people is what is the beauty. The jewel, you know, when I hear people say, the Jewel of Belize is, and we joke, it's Toledo. We say the jewel is always Toledo. It's the beauty of it. The reality is the Jewel of Belize are the people. That's the jewel. It's not the demographic or the geography of Belize. It's the people that make up the nation, not the borders. And there is no prettier, precious stone, so to speak, the jewel, than the people of Belize, the melting pot, what comes together. And we fell in love with that. And we were like, okay, what can we do to help people be better? You know, how can we help them be better at what they do? And so, you know, for years we were under a church organization, and under that church organization, you want me to hold that? Okay. So under the church, I'm a pastor. No, I don't need it. But we were under a church organization, and it was fine. And in 2017, the organization said, we're done. We're done in Belize. And we said, are we going to repeat history and do what we did, what they brought us here to do, because another organization did the same thing?
But why did they root up from Belize, that particular organization that brought you here?
They said they were done with their mission statement, with what they had, what they were called to do. It had been accomplished.
They were feeling a call to Africa in that general direction, and just ministering on that continent, I think, is why they shifted.
And so we didn't want to. I didn't want to repeat history. Like, okay, so this is what we're going to do. We watch a generation grow up. They come through the summer camps. You know, most people know Machaca, the summer camps. Get 600 to 800 kids that come through this camp from all over the country of Belize every year. We did the numbers. It was like, in our time here, we've seen 17,000 kids come through this camp. And so I felt like, so we're just going to uproot and do the very same thing, and then a new group is going to come in. What does that do to the people that live here? And so we made a decision to say, we'll start over. We'll start with nothing, because the church said, we're going to pull all your funding.
They pulled support and
all of it, 100%. But what they did do is they blessed us with the property. Okay. So we immediately, so this will answer the question, because people at home, because I've gotten people will say stuff to me like, well, you have all that property. Here's the deal. I don't own this property. This property is owned by the ministry. We set it up purposefully so that it gets passed to always be used for the betterment of Belize.
Okay. So it's a ministry.
Yeah, exactly.
Like a foundation or
it's
NGO.
Absolutely a foundation. This is a foundation. So when they said to us, we're pulling all the funding, we'll just give you the property. Well, there's a lot of buildings because of the camps and the different things that we do. So we had to really not reinvent ourselves, but we had to, because the ministry was already here, we're not going to stop doing what we do. But we had to say, okay, we need to figure out how we're going to get funded. We're going to have to cut some things down for a little bit and eat a lot of rice and beans and maybe not a lot of chicken with that rice and beans. And so that's kind of where we're at today and building it back up. And we can talk about some other programs, but I want to also say that for me, we were here 6 months and there was a gentleman, Paul may know him. I don't even know that. Maybe he was an angel. There was an old chaplain here, an American guy, I think with the Anglican Church. You remember him, Paul? So he stopped me.
Who's it, Paul? I didn't get the name. Okay.
So he stopped me on the street in PG one day, and he says, "You look like a military guy." And I said, "Okay." That always makes you nervous when people stop you, so you go, "Okay." I've always had a heart for soldiers, the passion that what they give up to defend the freedoms of others, and they get a bad rap all the time. I mean, we make mistakes, but I'm going to tell you, in my opinion, there's nothing closer to Christ than a soldier, because they give up their freedom for someone else's freedom, and their lives, they'll die. Just like we saw in 2020 with those 4 men who, on the war on drugs, Belizean men, lost their lives, and they were heroes. And so he asked if I would do that. Colonel Toledo was the CO at the time. He came down, he said, "Hey, I'd like to see if you'll do something here." And then 3 weeks later, I did it 3 weeks in a row, and 3 weeks later he said, "Hey, I want you to come on full time." I was like, "Come on full time? I can't join a foreign military." Like, "Oh, what are you talking about?" And we worked it out and started doing patrols with them and started doing some fun stuff with those guys. And then it evolved into the technical reserve. And so I've been with the BDF now. This is my 17th year with the BDF serving this nation. I love the nation, and I love the men and women.
So you have placed your life on line for this nation, basically.
Yeah.
That's what you've done.
Yeah.
As a soldier, you know, it's true, it's the reserves, but they'll call you if you need.
Well, over the years, we've had 40 plus young people that have lived back here from all over the country that were just in a bad way. Okay. And one of the things that I feel deeply about is, don't take from a country, give to it. Mm-hmm. We make the country better, all of us. Mm-hmm. And so when I felt personally, I mean, this is my personal thing. I feel like I owed the nation because the nation adopted us. Mm-hmm. The nation allowed us to become citizens. Mm-hmm. Like this nation, Belize, allowed my family to become citizens of this nation, though we weren't born here. Mm-hmm. And so if the nation calls you to serve it, then serve it, because you owe her. Mm-hmm. We owe her. It's the duty. Mm-hmm. And I feel deeply, I know others, and I tell other people too all the time, give back, serve in some capacity. Don't always try to take. Serve, give. And so for us, I felt I'm honored to be called a Belizean.
And you talk Creole good, boy.
Well, I try, I yank it a little bit, but boy, I want to roll. I make this thing like road, Joe.
Yes, man, for sure. You do a good thing. You do a thing.
I tell you, I love this thing, and so, man.
Yeah.
I tell you.
The road has not always been easy for the couple, but they say with God's guidance, they continue to share the good news, including the importance of the role of men in building strong families. We will continue our discussion after this break.
The National Gas Company, fueling Belize forward. The National Gas Company makes sure that you not only have a guaranteed supply of gas for every household need, but also that it is of the highest quality at all times. Shell Belize has been fueling Belize for many, many years, and they have done that reliably and with a lot of dependability. DeBarry stores in Belize City, Belmopan, San Ignacio, Orange Walk, and San Pedro, offering you much more for much less. DeBarry. Shell V-Power, with 3 times more cleaning and friction-reducing molecules. Go well. Go Shell.
We are DeBarry, offering you great products, good service, and of course, the lowest prices in the entire country. Visit us in Belize City, Belmopan, San Ignacio Cayo, Orange Walk, and now in San Pedro, La Isla Bonita. DeBarry. Get more? Pay less.
I remember the days when trucks used to line up at the Guatemala border, and we could have only watch as they come in loaded with LPG and then left with we Belizean dollars. Things changed since, because the Belizeans they drive now, that we have the jobs, and are definitely proud to be able to keep me dollars home. Either Elvis Roaches, and either one of the Belizean drivers for the National Gas Company. I haul butane from the new state-of-the-art terminal to the port of Big Creek. The hard work, but at the end of the day, I go home to my family and provide for them. Thanks to NGC, I do my lead part to build my country. We the all Belizeans on this team, and we proud to work hard to deliver one product will last longer and give you more value for money. I proud to work at NGC, and for you we Belizean people.
The National Gas Company Belize Limited, fueling Belize forward.
When you all lost the support of the church that sponsored you to come here and was maybe picking up the tab on all the work you were doing and you were left alone, what went through your mind? Did you say, let's stay, or should I? Tell me what went through your mind.
Well, I'll actually tell one of John's stories, and that because I was actually out of country, and he was. I had gone for a conference. He was here, just finished church, went up to Copal Tree and had a coffee, right, a nice coffee, and he's like, "I just have to get with the Lord. Are we supposed to stay?" Right, and so he just wants a coffee, and 2 of the young men that come over to the table to wait on him, they're boys that grew up through our camps. In fact, the first week we lived here, one of them rode up 7 days in a row and called up from the driveway and said, Pastor John, will you teach a Bible study in Fui Village? Right? And he's like, no, go away. And then he goes right back to, Lord, what should I do? What have you got? So it was kind of a joke, but those 2 young men came and served him his coffee that morning, and he sat there and they just stood there. And he's like, I just want time with the Lord. I just want to be alone and hear the Lord. But these 2 young men just stood there. And he's like, okay. And he says, Mark, what's up? And Jose says, tell her. And Mark says, thanks for never leaving, Mr. John.
Okay.
And at that moment, right, John got his answer. He's like, we're staying. And even in the transition of coming out from underneath that covering, the Lord had spoken very clearly, I will be your, he was like, cut all the ties. He was like, don't rely on anybody else but me. I'll bring everything that you need. And I'm not, Chief, you remember that day we talked about, right?
Yeah.
That it was like nothing, and nothing's going, and you need the money for the next step, right? And those times are hard, but the Lord was. But those are monumental days because they strengthen you, and you know what? The Lord has been everything for we, everything. He's. There were days I would lay in our bed going, Lord, are we going to be able to pay current? Are we going to survive to next month? But here we are.
Yeah, I'm doing well too.
Right?
Right.
We're doing well.
And you talk Elite Creole too, right?
I'll leave it, yeah.
That's very good. So let us look at some of the work that you do here today, Pastor. What happens here at Machaca Outreach? But before that, though, I wanted the kebab. You mentioned briefly what kebab means. But I would like you to expand on as to why that name was particularly adopted by your ministry.
All right. So in that transition, right, we were starting a nonprofit in the U.S. so that we could raise funds, and the attorney said to us, "You don't want to call it Machaca because Machaca isn't big enough. You need something that will cover everything that you do." Right? And so we were asking the Lord, and we were both driving at the same time. John had been studying, and he talked to you about the word kavod, right? Which they used to say kavod us Yahweh when they were in their day of war, right? The covering. And kavod is this: it's the tangible weightiness of the presence of God, of the glory of God. It's actually that you can feel the weightiness of his glory. And that's our heart, that the entire nation of Belize would be covered with the glory of God. And so we said, that's it. That's the name of our ministry, that we would be covered by his glory, that we would feel the tangible weightiness of his glory and his presence, and that our nation would be covered. From the north, the south, the east, and the west, completely covered.
And Chief, it was very important for us to make sure that the ministry wasn't named in a church name or a person's name, so that the good that comes from it, God gets the glory. If there's failures here, if there's failures that happen here, and we all fail, those failures fall on me, not on God. Those failures fall on me.
I don't like to dwell on failures, but maybe you could illustrate what you mean when you say failures.
Everyone makes mistakes. Okay. So did you start a program and maybe you didn't purposefully waste the money, but you started something and it didn't work. People make mistakes. Youth come back here and they make mistakes. They're not catastrophic. I heard a general say one time, he said, it's okay to let people fail. It's not okay to let them become failures.
Amen. I would say to that, because I could identify exactly what you were saying, right? We learn from our failures. If we did not have failures in life, we would not learn to be where we are today.
The greatest teacher
are our failures. You're not to look at failures as something final, right?
Because
but as something to grow on.
The Lord picks you up in that weakness. When I am weak, he is strong. So I recognize it. So it was important for us with kavod to say, all right, here's the deal. To him be the glory. And he picks us up in our failures and our weaknesses. And another thing that was important for us when we stayed, other churches and people said, hey, you should go check out this organization or whatever. To be honest, I loved the church, but I was tired of the church. And here's what I mean by that. Tired of organized church. Yeah. Because there's so many needs. And if we can't work together, how are we going to change? How are we going to make it better for people? So what we wanted to do is work with multi-denominations. We wanted to be a place where we could do a lot of things and help a lot of people through family and strengthening family and working with men. I shared that with you, helping them become better husbands and fathers. And I've said this to the soldiers. The soldiers will tell you what I said when we opened. I've said to soldiers for 17 years, you're the lighthouse. You're the lighthouse to the Caribbean and Central America. And I've said this, and it's no disrespect to women, but I've said this to the men. I said, God will rescue the nation when the men of Belize turn their hearts to God and say, God, help us. Not being religious, not being all churchy and fake, but being men that go, hey, you know what? These are our kids. This is our country. These are our women. These are our families. And other men are my fellow countrymen. Let's strengthen one another. And let's create an environment. I say this to young men all the time, and if you're a Bible person, you can get it. Proverbs 31. I hear churchy people, especially churchy dudes, say all the time, I want a Proverbs 31 woman. My response to those guys is, why do you want a Proverbs 31 woman when you're not a Proverbs guy? Yeah. Like you don't even create an environment for her to operate as a Proverbs 31 woman. Yeah. If you got a Proverbs 31 woman, it's because her father or her grandfather created an environment for her to be someone that can own business and have employees and purchase property and do that. If you marry her, you'll mess the whole thing up because you're weak. You're not a Proverbs guy. So empowering men to come together with men together and say, let's be Proverbs guy to create environments for the women to be able to do and use the gifts that God gave them without restriction. Right? You see what I'm saying? There's no chauvinistic in that. It's saying, well, you want to be a powerful business owner? Awesome. I'll make sure you can do the business. And it's not because I'm letting you. It's because I'll take the hits.
And I'm empowering you.
That's right, to do it, because I see the gifts that you have and the gifts that God gave you. And I don't care if it's the prime minister, if they want to be prime minister or whatever it is. The men have to be able to defend and create the environment for them to be able to operate and succeed in the sense that they have the opportunity to succeed. They'll succeed on their giftings they already have. Listen, my wife's the smartest person I know. My job is to just create an environment where she feels protected and that she knows she can do whatever she wants to do. I'm not worried about Joe Grind. Me don't worry about Joe Grind with my wife. You know, I know some men bother. I don't worry about that because I know, right? Because check this out. You can't give my wife, no man out there can give my wife what I give her. You may be able to give her more money, but she won't go for the money because it's temporary. What I give my wife is that love, compassion, and honor. And you put her on a pedestal and you honor her and you respect her gifts and her calling. And you say, okay, I'm going to create it. I'm going to make sure you can do what you want to do. I'll work hard so you have money. I'll work hard so you can raise the kids. I'll raise the kids with you. And everything else is good with it. So that has been the passion with Kavod, because we wanted to take it to that next level and we wanted to go beyond that. We didn't want it to be this chauvinistic ministry or churchy ministry that pretends it has it all together. We don't. We wanted to be able to have a ministry where everyone can be empowered. Everyone come and ask those questions. I may not agree. And, you know, a couple years ago, a video went viral that I did talking about the equality bill. And I may not agree with your lifestyle, but I still love you. And it's your choice to live how you choose to live. And so that's not my job. I wanted to be able to work across the board with that and be able to say, hey, let's help people become successful. Let's help people lean. Let's let people look to God as a source of strength. Like this, and I'm not going to preach, but I have to say this. Here we go. Because
let's hear what you want to say.
It affects our nation. There's that word free will. Free will, right? Everyone has a decision. Everyone can make a choice. We can choose to eat poppers, not eat poppers. I've just roasted that brisket and we're going to slice that up and then we're going to eat some food. We can eat way too much or we can not eat enough, right? Free will. And so one time when I was preaching, I got in my mind that, man, people need to listen to what I'm saying because I'm the pastor. And the Lord said to me one day, so I was trying to talk someone through it, and I'm like, you need to make this decision to a young man. And the Lord said to me later that night, I was laying in bed, and I was thinking about the conversation I had. And I felt in my prayer time, the Lord said, hey, smarty pants, right? In Creole, man, look here, knucklehead, right? When was the last time I may take your free will from you? I felt like the Lord said to me, when did I take your free will? And I said, I was laying in bed. I go, man, Lord, you have never taken my free will. I've been free to make any decision, and I've made a lot of bad decisions, and I've bore the consequences of those decisions. But even in those consequences, the Lord has forgiven me and helped me get better from learning from those failures. And I felt like the Lord said, then why are you taking other people's free will? Are you removing me from the throne? Is that what you're doing, John? So you're going to take away, you're going to remove me as a position of God, and you're going to misrepresent me, and people are going to look at me because you're a pastor.
Not because they want to do it for themselves.
Right. And I said, man, Lord, you're absolutely right. You never took my free will. You've never taken anyone's free will. Then who am I to take free will of another person? My job is to help coach and counsel if I can when they come and ask for advice. And if they make poor decisions, I don't have, listen, if someone's toxic, I don't have to hang out with them, but I will pray with them. And if they fail, go there to help them get back up and say, hey, are you ready to go be better? And I guarantee you they'll take, everyone here, all your listeners, I mean, this is the most well-listened to TV show and radio in the country. Everyone here has had failures, and everyone here has had people gossip about them, and everyone has had someone put a knife in their back. Everyone, right? It's just a countrywide. That's just how it is, from the littlest in a village to the city. The point being is, God has, in every one of those moments, and some of those things that we've done were consequences of things that we said, but God never left us or abandoned us in it. And so we just said, man, you know what? We're not going to operate like that. We're going to help. We want to have a ministry that helps anyone. Even though I don't, again, going back to that, I may not agree with your lifestyle. And it's okay for me to have that opinion, right?
Yes, okay, but you'll defend the right for that person to have that lifestyle.
Exactly.
Right?
And I do that by wearing a uniform in this country.
Yes.
I've had guns pointed at me on the Sarstoon. So when people tell me, oh, the Paso de Hate or whatever, like when that equality bill came out, the very first thing I said is, look, you can disagree with anything I say, but you can't say I don't love you. I'm not condemning anyone here. Yeah. I'm saying I may not agree with your lifestyle, but this equality bill was a horrible thing because it takes away the freedom of all to do a few. And so watching that with the ministry here at Machaca is we want to create an environment anyone can come. Anyone can come and say, how do I be better?
So all are equal. It doesn't matter your sex, your religion, or your political belief.
That's right. It doesn't matter. Does it really matter at the end of days? It matters when you take your last breath and you go before your maker. That's when it matters. Now, I'm not going to be there lobbying for you.
Yeah, you got to lobby for yourself.
That's it. I have to stand myself before the Lord. And so all we can do is say, hey, this is what we believe. This is the outcome of it. When you die, you're going to stand before your maker. Are you ready for that? But while you're here on this earth, I don't want to see ill will come to you. We want to help you. How do you become a better mother? How do you become a better father? How do you be a better son or a better daughter? How do you change? How do you make your community better? How do you uplift this nation? How do we, and of course my passion is Jesus, so how do we spread the good news, not the condemnation and the sin? Yeah. You know, we're good at pointing out everyone's faults, right?
Yeah.
We don't want to do that here. Our ministry is like, I don't need, no one here, if I were to ask everyone sitting here, you don't need me to point out what you struggle with. Yeah. You already know. Yeah. But it makes me feel good because I can, look at this, but you can do the same to me. Yeah. So let me point out your strengths, point out what you're good at, who you are and who God created you to be. And guess what? You're going to have to partner with him and it's going to be a fight. But are you willing for the fight? Because like what I say to men in this country, I believe in you. You have what it takes. Now go out and do something. Make your community better. Make your family better.
Well said, Pastor. I kept my mind kept going back to one of my favorite phrases on education. You know, as you know, education means a draw out from within. Mm-hmm. And one of my favorite phrases is one from Margaret Mead, when she says, "Children should be taught how to think, not what to think." Mm-hmm. And I think that's more or less what you were saying just now, that people should be taught how to bring out the best that they have in them, but not what is the best from somebody else's perspective.
Exactly. Can you imagine that? Critical thinking. Allow you to make decisions. There's more than one way. Like I could give you the educators out there, especially those in mathematics, there's more than one way to solve a problem. Exactly. Yet we'll teach you and tell you this is the right way. Mm-hmm. No, if one may take longer, but it doesn't mean it's wrong. Mm-hmm. What happens is the critical thinking is allow people to be able to work through the issues, allow them to think for themselves. Don't tell people this is part of the issues we're having in the country here and around the world, is you have small groups of people telling people what to think, and like they're dumb. The people of Belize are not dumb.
Of course not.
They're brilliant, all of we, and we can look at things that we can go, oh, you know what? I think a little bit different. I look at the diversity here. There are some who say live off the land. Others say, no, I'm gonna live in the city. Great.
That's what is called advice. Your advice comes in many different ways, fashion, or form, but you are free to accept an advice or to refuse to accept the advice. And the person that pays the price, really, for accepting or not accepting is you.
Yeah. Here, I teach this a lot in our leadership. I teach it with the soldiers or whoever we're working with. And you brought up a good point, is I have learned over the years the difference between opinion and advice. If I want your opinion, I'll ask you.
That's right.
And it typically will be about, why do you think this player is the best player? Or why do you think this is? I don't really ask advice. I ask that on sport, really non-issues in my life. I'll ask people's opinion. Like, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? Because I know what I'm going to get. I'm going to get your opinion. But if I am going to ask somebody, if I said to you, Chief, I really want to start a podcast. I want to do something where we can get something on the radio, a program that we can get on the radio. How do I do it? How would I do that? Why? Now I'm asking your expertise, and I'm going to be able to get into your brain a little bit, because now you're giving me your advice because you've done it.
Yeah.
Now I can either do it, take your advice, or not. Right now what we have a problem is everyone's speaking their opinions, and they don't know anything. I was talking to a friend in school. He's taking a business course in school, and I asked the professor how many businesses he owned.
Good point.
And the business professor at the school at a university, has never owned a business. And I said, so you're basically, he's teaching you his opinion of the echo chamber of what someone else has done. Right?
Yeah.
And I went, think about that for a second, how crazy that is.
Yeah.
He's going to tell you what can and can't work, but he's never done it. How about you take what you know works and risk and try it, or go ask somebody
who has
that's
done it.
And so that's why when people tell me, with even what we're doing with families and with our faith in Jesus, people all have an opinion on what we're doing here.
Yeah.
And I'll go, that's awesome, I'll take your opinion, but you really don't know, because you haven't done what we're doing. As soon as you come in and do what we do, I'll ask your advice.
No, Lisa, you've been silent. Let's hear from you. Yeah, let's hear from you. We've been talking a lot about.
I just wanted to even say something. Imagine if we could teach a generation critical thinking, what would come, right? Because we've for so long taught this is the answer. Just memorize the answer. But what if because God is a God of creativity, right? He is actually, we can actually access heaven's wisdom, right? And pull down blueprints. Imagine what they would come up with. We have so many problems that we face in the world today, small and large, worldwide, community, whatever size. But imagine if we taught a generation how to problem solve. We don't teach them the answer. Along with creativity and problem solving, they're going to come out with solutions that we've not seen or yet even heard of or thought were available. Right. And so I get excited if we can just shift a little bit what we're doing and give them that freedom to think.
Mm-hmm. And that's what true education is, Lisa.
Yes.
True education, like I said earlier, is to draw out, in my mind, from within.
Right.
Draw out what you have inside of you, enabling you to become the best person that you want to be.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Not what I think you should be.
Yeah. And part of one of the aspects that we do as well is we have a school of ministry. And the heart there is for those to come to know who they are and whose they are in Christ. So it's for them to actually find their own identity and who God says that they are, and then equip them and empower them to step into their fullness. You know, you, Chief, you are doing what you were born to do. You know, That's who you are. It's who you were born to be, right? And so to help people find that and not pigeonhole them in one way or another, but just give them that freedom and that creativity to really hear the heart of the Father. We create space here and teach them how to hear the voice of God, right? Because just like we wouldn't have ended up in Belize had we not heard. Now, he was probably speaking before that and we weren't listening, right? That's why we were headed back to Albania, right? But to teach those to be able to hear the voice of the creator of the universe, to hear the voice of the Father that knows them more than anybody, that sees them like we're talking about. We all know for we sin, right? It's easy to tell a drunkard you're a drunkard, right? But can we see through the dirt and call out the gold?
Yes, and as to why he is.
Yes. So to see who the Father says that they are, because that's probably what they don't know. You know?
And it's inside.
Yes, it's inside. And so you're almost a cultivator, right? You're a cultivator and finding the gold nuggets and just bringing them out before them so that they can know who they are in Christ. And if I could just say, probably our heart here is we have like a three pillar. Our foundation is this. It's on prayer and intercession, right? We seek the heart of the Father, but the pillars are this in the house, that we would bring forth, that we would see people healed and whole, right? Whether trauma, whether emotional, whether physical, we have seen the Lord heal and mend broken hearts, heal their physical bodies. He is the healer, right? And so to make space for that to happen, because if they're healed and whole, now we can equip them. That's the second pillar. We can equip them to have to be a part of a thriving family, a thriving mother, father, son, or daughter, because it's to train up and deploy leaders, right? Because I think it's Isaiah 61, and it talks about the brokenhearted, right? And that God gives them beauty for ashes and joy for mourning, right? And he says these are the planting of the Lord. And then it says these, so those brokenhearted, those broken ones, the shattered mind, it's these, it says, that will rebuild the ruined cities. And so if we can bring hope and healing, equip family, and train leaders, it is these that will transform a nation.
No, Pastor, I want to get to what you do on the ground here. Okay. But before that, I want to throw something at you, right? Jesus was talking, I think it was Jesus, I'm almost sure, you correct me if I'm wrong, you are the pastor, right? And he said, seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all these things will be added unto you. And then he was asked, but Master, you're talking about this kingdom. Where is this kingdom? And he said, the kingdom of God is within you, which means that whatever you radiate, whatever you want to become, is what God wants you to become if you would only look for it and accept it, the direction. So the kingdom of God comes from within. So it stands to reason that whatever you become in life is because that's what you have inside of you, and that's what you bring out. How would you comment on that?
I would comment like this: we see it work both ways, because you can bring out from within you. If you don't partner with God, you can create a kingdom. It may not be a godly kingdom, but we see that with violence. We see that with the cartels. We see it because we have the ability to create. Okay? So when God says this, he says, hey, the kingdom of heaven, why aren't we seeing more? Is because we're not living out the Holy Spirit. When he says the kingdom is within you, it's the Holy Spirit. So the Holy Spirit dwells within you. Now, if you're following Christ in it, then the prayer, there's certain keys throughout Scripture that God gives us. He says, seek it out. So the prayer, he says, on earth as it is in heaven. Okay, so what's within me on earth is it's when I put my faith and trust, seek ye first the kingdom of God. And all of these things will be added unto you. It's twofold in my opinion. Twofold is, all these things are added unto me, what? The inheritance of heaven, because God's, by the shedding of his blood, Jesus' blood, I become adopted in the family, forgiveness of sins, and now I have the kingdom of heaven, so I have the inheritance of a king. My Father, Yahweh, I have his inheritance of the king. but these other things will be added unto you, meaning the dreams and the passions that God's giving me to help others and to create this environment here. I can prosper and do great things on this earth, but what he says is, don't make that your kingdom. Seek first the kingdom of God. Then seek the radio Love FM. Then seek your political desire. Then seek your athletic prowess. Then seek your business aspirations. Because that will be added unto you because you sought me first. You sought my kingdom first. And then all of that later will be, as it's added to you, is kingdom because you bring it with you because I gave it to you. It's the most beautiful stuff, but we want to neglect. I'm going to do it on my own. I don't want to do anything on my own. I want to do it with you. I want to do it with my wife. I want to do it with friends. I want to bring forth, how do we advance the kingdom of heaven?
By serving others.
That's it. By seeking first the kingdom, then saying, hey, I have a dream. Martin Luther King hit it best. Remember when he said, I have a dream. Yeah. That dream, and he'll say it, came from God, from Jesus Christ. Yeah. That one day men would be free and equal. Yeah. And we wouldn't look down upon people because, let me say this, and this gets me in trouble too, because you know me, we become friends true lately in a short period of time. Yeah. But if you see the color of someone's skin, good, because you're seeing the beauty of God. If you judge them because of the color of their skin, there's something wrong with your heart.
Big time. I agree with you.
Big time. People that say, me no see no color. You're a liar, man. You cannot see, you have to see the color and difference of people. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful, right? And so I see the creativity of God. Yeah. But if I judge you based upon what you are, whether you're Asian or whatever, now it reveals what my heart is. Yeah. Oh, that's a whole different story. Uh-huh. When my heart's revealed, that's a different story. Before COVID, before the pandemic hit, the kids were given, like 7 to 9-year-olds would get a week back here, fully, 3 meals a day, crafts, games, where they'd learn about the Bible, but they'd also learn about life, and we'd have these teams, and then 10 to 12, and 14 to 16, and then up to 20. So Machaca is really known for its summer camps, what we do. But over since 2017, our passion is Band of Brothers. The Band of Brothers, where we have a goal that we want to reach 100 to 150 men every year during events that we host back here, where we're either shooting guns, crossbows, talking about what men do. We have a passion to reach women. I think my wife, the women's conferences, and with international, even with Zoom, I think that she's doing, our passion is to reach 500 women a year here. And then through the summer camps and the programs, and we're really excited about starting something now, what we'll call Machaca Outback or JH Outback, where we are creating now, because there's been such an ask for father and son, father and daughter, mother-son, mother-daughter, and husband and wife retreats back here where they come together for events, for like 3-day events that we'll offer to the country, but it will be top. Like you are staying in, we're in the process now, or you'll be staying in air-conditioned cabins. Okay. And even when we're going to do some glamping, where those really nice tents, they'll be air-conditioned. But so that way, if you want to bring your wife, you want to go in a tent and be rustic and be the man, right? Yeah. But then also it gives fathers a chance to re-engage with their children, mothers to re-engage with their children. So we're up in the game to bring something that isn't done here in the country. And then there's some other stuff that we do to partner with the country. We can't really talk about it on air, but we do things, and you and I have talked about it, and one day we'll talk more about it, but we do stuff to be able to help those who have had their table taken from them, where someone else has removed them from their family table, and we are creating a place where they're given a table to sit back again. They have a place at a family table. So we like to say here, from our family table to your family table. Some people have had that removed from them. Well, we're giving it back. And so on a day-to-day that's happening here, we've got some agriculture stuff happening and putting people to opportunities, different things. So there's always something, the School of Ministry, and then, of course, the work with the BDF. And they're back here a lot.
Okay. So you're a very busy pastor.
All over the country.
All over the country.
All over the country. I think I spend more time up in Belize City, out of district, than I do here. But we have a great staff. We're able to do what we do because of the staff that's here. That just a great staff. And I'll tell you this: the majority of those staff is unpaid. They do it out of their heart. They do it because they were given, and they were brought, and now they're giving back. And so we try to help the best we can financially, but in a lot of cases, that's the heart. That's the true Belizean heart, right? Mm-hmm. Look at all those. It's just a beautiful thing. So we do quite a bit. We do quite a bit.
And Lisa, your contribution to all of this that happens on the ground every day, you work mostly with the women.
Yep, I do. My daughter and I actually lead the School of Ministry. So we have a School of Supernatural Ministry, and then we have those that do in person and online. So we have students from all over the nation. Oh yeah. Yeah. So we take them through. We have it has 3 different years: first, second, and third year. Just equipping them to minister. And again, just activating them in their gifting so that they can fully operate in who they are. I love women's ministry. We have a well-known women's conference that we do annually that draws women from all over the nation. In fact, we have families that fly their ma, their sister, their auntie, and things from the States. Even with the summer camps, we've had grannies fly their grandpicnic in, right? For summer camp. So it's crazy. From New York, whatever. We talk Creole to her, right? And the Lee boy look at me like, I don't understand. Right? Yeah, but we absolutely love just pouring into the family unit. Excellent. You know, just to see the kids loved on and strengthened. We just want to pour into this generation to impact the next generation. We always talk about that we are planting trees under whom the shade we will not sit. Yeah. The next generation will. And our heart is this in raising up leaders is that our ceiling would be their floor. We want to empower them to do greater things than we've ever dreamed of accomplishing. Mm-hmm. And if we can do that, imagine what the next generation will be.
I could only imagine.
When we come back, our team takes a tour of the facilities at Machaca Outreach Center.
The National Gas Company, fueling Belize forward. The National Gas Company makes sure that you not only have a guaranteed supply of gas for every household need, but also that it is of the highest quality at all times. Shell Belize has been fueling Belize for many, many years, and they have done that reliably and with a lot of dependability. DeBarry stores in Belize City, Belmopan, San Ignacio, Orange Walk, and San Pedro, offering you much more for much less. DeBarry. Shell V-Power, with 3 times more cleaning and friction-reducing molecules. Go well. Go Shell.
We are DeBarry, offering you great products, good service, and of course, the lowest prices in the entire country. Visit us in Belize City, Belmopan, San Ignacio Cayo, Orange Walk, and now in San Pedro, La Isla Bonita. DeBarry. Get more? Pay less.
I remember the days when trucks used to line up at the Guatemala border, and we could have only watch as they come in loaded with LPG and then left with Belizean dollars. Things changed since, because the Belizeans they drive now, that we have the jobs, and are definitely proud to be able to keep me dollars home. Either Elvis Roaches, and either one of the Belizean drivers for the National Gas Company. I haul butane from the new state-of-the-art terminal to the port of Big Creek. The hard work, but at the end of the day, I go home to my family and provide for them. Thanks to NGC, I do my lead part to build my country. We the all Belizeans on this team, and we proud to work hard to deliver one product will last longer and give you more value for money. I proud to work at NGC, and for you we Belizean people.
The National Gas Company Belize Limited, fueling Belize forward.
So, Pastor, we have embarked on a tour of your facilities here at Camp Machaca, right? And we have stopped by a field. I noticed on the road, we left your home. Your home is that side.
Yeah.
So we came along this road here, and we are by the field here. What happens here?
So this field here, those who have been to summer camp know this is the infamous home of Machaca Cup, where people from all over the world watch these kids play in one of the most anticipated and competitive football matches ever in every year from 2004 until 2019, right here. Right. We get commentators from Mexico and China and Russia that watch this and a satellite view. When we do our summer camps, we have those little kids believe we give them uniforms to wear, and they represent their country and other teams, and they think they're playing in the professional league. But we also do something here where we do on the blacktop session where we open it up for people, especially in the COVID time. This blacktop is a place where people can come out in the open air and they check in with us and they can get a workout in without having to worry about getting sick or, transmitting something in a closed gym.
So the tires really are for jumping and moving and flipping on.
We have a heavy rope where they can
heavy
do
rope
it.
And things like that.
We have kettlebells and that, which where they can really get fit and they can work. But then also we do a program that we call Warrior Week. And we take people, right, whether they're from about 16 upwards in age. And we do a thing, we call it Warrior Week or the Entitlement Breaker, where we do up to 10 to 12 at a time. They make their own camp at Camp Benaiah on this football field. They pitch their own tents.
It's called Camp Benaiah?
We call the camp Benaiah.
Why? Why that name?
Benaiah is a biblical character who is one of David's mighty men. And he was the elite of the elite warriors. So what we do is for 1 week, they learn we work close with BDF and they learn how to read a map. They live out here. They don't go in at night. They live out here. All out here in the jungle, in the open area. They run obstacle course. They learn how to use a compass. They learn how to make fire with a flint. They learn how to gather water. How to purify water, how to set traps, how to navigate both day and night, but they also get to learn how to work together as a team, as an individual. So we have a slogan that said, it pays to win. If you win, you get something good, right? But then at the same time, you can choose to win as an individual, or you can suffer with a team. Or you can win as an individual or win as a team. So it's a process where we're bringing them through.
So teamwork.
Yeah, sure. You can win as an individual. Yeah. So that happens here. The magic happens here. And there are those in Belize that when they watch this show, they'll go, I've been Warrior Week right there. Or little kids, when they watch this show, says, I've played Machaca Cup right there. So this is a huge part of Machaca Camp.
Okay. And on average, if there was some activity here, how many people would I see out here on an average day where there's some activity?
Well, during summer camps, before the pandemic, you would have at any time over 100 people at a time, 100 kids at a time. Wow. During the Warrior Weeks, it's very limited. It's not open to the public. We do have medical, so we have nurses back here and EMTs that work through it, and that will be a total of about 20 people.
Excellent. All right, so we continue our tour, and we go down.
We're going to go that way.
To
the main part of the training facility, where the magic happens. That's where people get to eat, where all the good food is happening, all the big games, all the dramas, and where they stay.
You mean there's more food beside the food you gave us already?
Well, I can make you more. You want more food?
I ate a lot just now. I totally enjoyed the meal. Tell me something, just so we can boast a little bit. What did we eat exactly today?
We had brisket. We smoked brisket. So I got up this morning at 2:30 a.m. and we smoked. We did about a 9.5 hour smoking of brisket. Rhineland. We use Rhineland brisket. So we'll big them up, right? We use them. So they can big us up and donate some stuff to us when we're working community stuff, right?
Exactly.
Come on, Rhineland. And then we did jalapeno poppers, bacon-wrapped jalapeno poppers, and we did signature twice-baked macaroni and bacon cheese with fresh rolls. Fresh, I don't know, what kind of rolls were they? Garlic rolls, fresh garlic
They were
rolls.
delicious. Along with some local beverages, right?
Yes, it was a great time. It was a great time to eat together, wasn't it?
It was. I totally enjoyed it. The thing is that you have me so full now, and you're going to take me down that road there to your facilities. So anyway, let's do it.
Hey, Chief, can I sit in this? Yeah. Isn't it good to sit around a table with family and friends?
So good. I felt so much at home, and I want to thank you publicly for that because I felt so much at home. I enjoyed the food. Lisa is great. I think Lisa made the rolls, though, right?
Well, a young lady in the community made the rolls.
Well, they were delicious. Just tell the young lady they were delicious and enjoyable. And Lisa, the food was excellent, right? Totally enjoyed. Paul Mahong is about, 10 pounds bigger since we have finished.
Everyone's a little hurting right now. It looks like they're tired.
Yes.
So we better move on.
It's good exercise, though. It's a good thing we're exercising now as you can continue moving on, right?
Perfect.
Okay. So, Lisa, we have moved on to what Pastor told me is the center of the camp, right? Mm-hmm. Maybe you can describe our surroundings and what happens in what building, because I see several buildings here. I remember the last time I came, there was a lot of activity in the building over there. Mm-hmm. The last time I came to visit you guys. Mm-hmm. And then we sat in here and we had some of your wonderful smoked meat. What was it? Smoked chicken. Smoked chicken. Cherry smoked chicken in here. Mm-hmm. And then that building over there interests me. I am not sure what you do there. Tell me, Lisa.
That one up there is actually kind of a prayer chapel, or we call it our new chapel, because it's up on the hill. It's up, above everything, so you can just go up and just have a sweet time with the Lord. We've done 24-hour worship up there. We've had weddings up there. Various teachings will break off into the different camps, into different areas. We've done art up there, different things during the different events. Yeah.
I'm wondering why it stuck out in my. I looked around, and I said, "There."
It's beautiful. It's peaceful. I mean, and you get a really nice breeze, but it really is. You can really feel the presence of the Lord up there. It's really sweet.
And during events, people will take their quiet time, and they'll just go sit up there. Yeah. It's a great time to just meditate, read, think about life, and that. And so it's just a good, blessed time. There's always a small breeze up there. I can't explain it, but there's always a little breeze right up on that little hill. So
you have people sleeping here on campus, or?
We do at times. When we have events, they're able to stay here. Of course, we're set up during this pandemic time where we are up to the protocols. We have the distancing marks on the sidewalks. We have the hand washing stations. And we stick to those protocols as they increase or decrease. And we're hoping soon that the decrease will come.
But we can sleep up to 100 people. So we have a boys' circle and a girls' circle. Right now we are upscaling those, though, so that all the cabins have bathrooms, drywall, AC, and all of that, so families can be in there. Because like John said, this is really where this is the hub. And really it's the hub of building family. And making kids just feel known, heard, seen, loved, right? And just loving on mothers and fathers and developing them. Whether we're doing the children's camps, we're doing women's conferences, or the Band of Brothers, it all happens right here. We've had it where we've had 150 women just come and enjoy one another, be encouraged, be activated. They enjoy the lovely food in the dining hall. And then we've got the chapel over there that kind of, It does a dual purpose with volleyball, basketball, and then we use it as a chapel as well. Mm-hmm.
And then if you look behind us right here, there's a playground.
Oh, yeah, a children's playground.
And we've had, before the pandemic, and we're hoping to get back to that, people would come down from Cayo. People would come from the city, and they would bring their families down here and barbecue here during the day. Yeah, we're open to that.
You're open to people coming and using the premises as a family entity?
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, we're raising the funds, and if the community wants to help, they can help us do it. where we want to put picnic tables and barbecue pits around this area so that families can come and they can have a safe place where their kids can play, where they can play. And our long-term goals is to have a pool right here. We're going to put a pool here. But here's what's really interesting. We were able to work with kids across the world, right? What's the name of the organization? Kids Around the World. And a playground just like this is in February, we're putting in Central Park in PG. Wow. So one just like this. And that's what you see there. A lot of the
pieces there,
pieces are there. And that park will be in our community in Punta Gorda, right in Central Park, where it'll be a nice, just a place for family, also in the town, and where kids can play and be safe and have that, not worry about getting splinters and that. So we really try to work together with not only what we feel with family, but also taking on humanitarian projects. This last year, even during the pandemic, we brought teams in and put water filtration systems throughout the villages, working with Mr. Requena, Honorable Requena, going into places where they struggled with water and putting in water catchments and purification systems. So we wanted to take on not only what we do here, but we also wanted to take on humanitarian projects and work around the country, bringing in trauma counselors to work with those that are dealing with trauma, and even helping Department of Human Services to offer that training to them. Professionals that are licensed, that are giving their time to come down and do the training. Marriage. We have one coming up in February where we have a marriage retreat where we have a couple that's some of the top marriage counselors, what we believe, in California for sure, if not the United States, that is coming here for a couple weeks. And so we'll help the BDF, but we'll also open it up to the public. If they want to know more, they can contact us. But we feel we're going to do what we do here, our passion, but we want to get out to the country. Yes. How do you help the country?
Beautiful open air, fresh open air. You know, you can breathe the niceness in the air. You can smell the trees. You can smell, the life of the rainforest.
And what we've done is, because everything is open air, and we have the spacing and the space, we're COVID protocol safe here, because you have it. And even when we do an event where people would come and stay the night, we have it set up where they get tested at our gate. Yes. And once they're clean, then they're here and they don't leave for the event. And so that we know that we're sticking with the rules that our government has put in place. And there's options out there for people, because a lot of people aren't sure what to do. Yeah. Like, can we still do stuff? Absolutely. And so we provide that for them so they'll be able to do it. But you're right, that fresh air. The
fresh air is here, right? So everyone that comes here, Pastor, has to get a COVID test, right?
When we have an event, everyone comes with a clean COVID.
And this event, we have to come clean, right?
Come clean. So you come if you have a vaccination. And we realize that some people are opposed to vaccination. They still have to be checked, right?
Yes, but you did check us. So.
Yes. So everyone's been checked. But we also know that people have had it and they can't get the vaccine yet. So if you've had it or you have complications, whatever, but we still stick with the protocols that the government has given, and doctors.
Yeah, I've had 3 vaccines, as you know, as I told you when I came in.
Shot after shot
and
after
shot after shot, and we did the test. But we did what we had to do.
So soon we're going to have shots all the way down the arm, right? No, but we offer that too. Even when we do events here, when they show up, if they don't have a COVID test, we have tests here that we purchased, and then we are able, with nurses or working with the MOH, that they can get tested.
Yeah, we actually go beyond the protocol because even somebody, all can spread, right? They're all, and so even if somebody's vaccinated or non-vaccinated, we still require a COVID test, a negative COVID test, because it makes it safe for everybody.
Yeah, that is so. So thank you so much again for adhering to the protocols of COVID, and for allowing us to breathe this fresh air, as against having a mask on, right? So this was a relief, really, to be able to breathe the fresh air.
We want to thank you for coming. We want to thank you. Honestly, the voice of the nation, and you and I have talked about that, but we we want to thank Love FM. We want to thank you, Chief, for coming down here and highlighting the South, showing the beauty of the South. And well, I think, this property is beautiful, but the people are what make it beautiful. It's the people here. It's the kids that have come through here. And we sometimes will say, if you just close your eyes and listen, you can hear the laughter of the last 35 years of kids and families that have just played at this place and have had. I was talking with a group of teenagers coming out of the gangs that came down from the city, and it was a little rough at first. And I said to them, for 1 week, you don't have to worry about violence. You don't have to worry about a meal. You don't have to worry about being taken advantage of or lied to. For 1 week, you get to come here and eat and laugh and be you. That's what Machaca provides.
And I am happy that I had that pleasure and honor today, to be here feeling free, breathing in this fresh air. Lisa.
Yes. Chief, I just want to even just thank all of your staff. You guys are amazing. Paul Mahang. We're going to get him in, right? The voice of the South. But really, it's such an honor that you would actually, what I love is I'm hearing and I'm seeing you come and meet with the young people that are building their own businesses, and you're going back into the farms and you're highlighting the success of those here in the South. And so we just really appreciate that, because we love those that are in our district, and we are so proud of everything that they're doing. And we are honored. What I'm excited about is we're honored to partner with you with putting Miracle Every Day on, right? To be able to put hope in every home, because every home listens to you, right? And just to put a snippet of hope into every home, every day. It'll be beautiful. And so what you're doing is amazing for the entire nation, and so we honor you, and we just want to thank you.
Lisa, I want to thank you and John for that, but let me call on my good friend Paul, because, whenever I'm in the Toledo District, it doesn't happen without Paul.
Right.
Whatever happens in the Toledo District, whenever I'm here, Paul does all the arrangements. And Paul always does magnificent arrangements. Magnificent is a good word, right? Yes. Like the Magnificent Seven, right? So, Paul, I want to thank you so much for bringing me here. For the time we have spent with Pastor Gotz and Lisa. Thank you so much. And hey, let's hear from you, Paul. You watch the show. You're looking at me and telling me, Chief, you don't look good standing up, so, and that kind of thing. Let's get your final comments as we close the show.
Chief, I'm feeling this is a very blessed opportunity and evening at the Machaca Outreach Center. I've known the lovely couple, Pastor, Second Lieutenant Gotz, and his lovely wife, Lisa, for over 10 years now. And I can reflect very shortly, they're reaching out to the kids in the summer camp from all parts of Belize and beyond Belize, and all the other activities, the Machaca football competition, as well as Pastor Second Lieutenant Gotz, as recently as December, the entire family, Pastor Second Lieutenant Gotz and Lisa and their daughter, lovely daughter, and grandchildren, reached out to the BDF at 2nd Battalion at Fairweather Camp. And they brought so much goodies and things for the soldiers. Wow. They sang for the soldiers. The soldiers even stood up and sang along with them. Right. No, these are meaningful moments, Chief. I think they have explained to you in the program all they've done, and I will not go through that, but I wish that the good Lord continue to bless them in what they do and the mission here and their work at Machaca Outreach Center. And Chief, God bless you too for coming all the way, making time for this event.
The pleasure is all mine, Paul. I enjoy coming here, I enjoy doing this, and all of this, and what you do, Pastor, is a labor of love, right? It's all about love, right? Yeah. And what you do to Lisa is a labor of love, right? And what Paul does is a labor of love. And if you want to turn to the cameraman, Chris, and says it's a labor of love too, right? Yeah. And so all of us do what we love to do, right? And because we love to do, we choose to do what we love to do, we say, thanks for choosing love. Belize Watch, knowledge of the past, impacting the present, and building the future.